maybe, because the way that I've said it already, it's a done deal. The man is already under the jurisdiction of the ICC. It is extraterritorial, it's in another country. So it's beyond the scope of our legal system already. We have already turned over the person arrested to the ICC for proper trial and disposition.
Sir, earlier I showed you a video before the Senate, I think, on August, when you were saying that the proper, August 28, 2024, before a public hearing, you have stated that the Interpol should have course to that arrest before the Philippine courts. That was your position before, to avoid any legal issues later. And apparently it did not happen that way.
Well, there are many laws involved when we look at a judgment of this nature or a judgment of a court order. The first thing we look at is the jurisdictional facts and whether or not there is jurisdiction. And in the Cayetano versus Pangilinan case, I think the Supreme Court, in an obiter, already stated that all things that happened prior to a certain date in 2019 are still within the jurisdiction of the ICC. So that's one thing that we have to consider. Pangilinan.
So we can look, you are now looking at the things, those precedents.
Well, there are other things that affect it. The Republic Act 1951, the international humanitarian law, our adherence to international humanitarian law, is the law in the case now. And that will be for us to argue, to bring out in the Supreme Court. Because it's a matter that defines and redefines cases of this nature that are brought before our courts or that are brought before us to decide on whether we take a judicial alternative or we take an executive action. Yes, it is a diffusion order that we got from the Interpol and a warrant. A copy of the warrant was given to us, and it was just about right that we did what we had to do. I have no qualms about what we did being right or wrong. I think that we were in the right the whole time.
Okay, and since you mentioned about international humanitarian law, the jurors and Jofra are asking me to ask you this question because this really pertains to your jurisdiction. On the case of Harry Roque, former presidential spokesman Harry Roque, what's the status now on his human trafficking case with Alice Goa? It's supposed to be in the
Conclusion of the case from the panel of prosecutors. We're still awaiting that. We're very, very circumspect about evaluating the evidence. We make sure that they go with their work unhampered. We do not influence what the prosecutors think, but we just wait for them to do their job. And when that is said and done, then whatever case needs to be filed, will be filed.
Don't definite timeline or deadline?
It will be very soon because it's been pending for quite a while.
Yeah.
And he has submitted his counter affidavit already in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, he submitted his counter affidavit. He's in reply to the accusations. So that is being evaluated by the panel of prosecutors. I don't even know who this panel is because we try to be blind when it comes to this matter. We leave it to them to evaluate the cases before them.
You don't know the panel members?
I don't know personally who constitutes the panel. I may know one of them, but Batalyon is the Prosecutor General, and he's the one who I think constituted the panel.
Yes. So there are now requests, I think, from the Quadcom that the DFA or at least the DOJ initiate proceedings to cancel his Philippine passport because he's now appearing, he's flying from Dubai to The Hague, now appearing as ICC.
That can only happen when there is a case filed. I don't think that we want to violate anybody's right to travel. But when the case is filed, then everything else will follow. Everything else will follow. No. Actually, it's a non-entity in this drama. It's a non-entity. It's no one trying to put in space in the picture. But it's a non-entity as far as I'm concerned.
Yes. Anyway, sir, yung isa pang EJK case ni Mr. ni former President Duterte, na-file na ba yun dito sa atin? Di ba sa DOJ din?
Unfortunately, many of the cases that were filed with the DOJ ended up with the former Prosecutor General, who immediately turned over the cases to the Ombudsman. And I don't really know what the Ombudsman has done about these cases. At least there are no DUTERTE cases pending before us, because these were turned over by the former Prosecutor General to the Ombudsman. And it was never returned to us. So, it is for the disposition of the Ombudsman.
I thought the
Quadcom hearings, we got copies of the minutes of the Quadcom hearings, but we have to do a case build-up before we file any case. We cannot file a case on mere allegations stated in the public hearing of the Senate. We have to get the proper evidentiary value within our grasp for us to be able to file a case. We do not file a case out of scuttlebutt or out of statements made publicly and make them into gospel truth. We do not do that. We have to validate every fact of them.
So, a build-up at the stage?
Yes, that's the most necessary thing that should be done in all cases. We should prepare, there should be a case build-up for every case. So that the moment we file the case in court, we're ready for trial. Alam ka namang ipa-file namin yung kaso, sabay ito kami maghahagilap ng ebidensya pagkatapos. Kailangan, ipunin muna yung ebidensya para final namin, ready for trial kami.
Sa ICC, there were 43 cases. These 43 cases did it come from the DOJ?
Hindi na galing sa amin.
Private complainants.
The ICC has been on this case for the past 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. They've been, or maybe more, for the past 7 years. So they're way ahead of us when it comes to investigating the cases. Facts that happened 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Almost impossible. Especially that the people who we need in the case build-up are the police personnel. And many of them, I think, were entangled in this web of criminal activity that happened, that violated the rights of the victims of the EJ case that happened within the time. So we just have to take it with a grain of salt that there are limitations to our grasp and reach because of the peculiar circumstances surrounding what happened in the past.
Or the Philippine government will not be called upon?
We do
To
not,
validate the cases.
it is not within our jurisdiction anymore.
Wala na
So they
kayo.
already have their
Private complainants lang yun.
private complainants in the ICC. We just decided that it's maybe best for it to be tried by a tribunal that the complainants prefer. Because that's where the complainants went, and it's out of respect to the complainants' wishes that we also made the decision to turn over the person of the former president to the ICC.
So, will you trial under, the ICC trial is actually trying the Philippine justice system, which obviously was a
I think
failure.
that that is too much of a general statement. I think the ICC is trying a chapter in our historical life. A chapter in our historical life. It is a chapter in our legal in our legal history that has to be studied properly. As I said, it is very hard to build a case from scratch when it is way past, and the people who are supposed to help you are the ones who probably perpetrated the crime.
The police, the justice,
Enforcement,
prosecutor,
prosecution.
the judiciary, the correction, and the public.
Yes.
So the weakest link, there are all the weakest links. There's actually
Law enforcement is the biggest thing at that time. Because, for obvious reasons. That's the reason why the case is pending before the ICC. Because law enforcement was a very big deal at the time.
You were part of the crime. Anyway, sir, as at the DOJ also pending before you are cases against the Vice President. What's the status of her cases? Submitted by the public.
It's